Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Command Center, where we like to put our favorite commander, maybe even yours, front and center. And you know we can't do that unless you play those three magnificent letters, EDH. What does it stand for today, Ado Ken?
You know what? We're towards the end of the year right now.
Yeah.
And I think everybody would know what it stands for right now. It stands for every dollar helps. Yep, y'all know what time is coming around. It's some holidays. And you know what them holidays like to tax? It's them pockets. So right now we're trying to watch our dollars when it comes to these holidays and also playing Magic.
That's right. So quick introduction to our boy Derek. He is also here with us as well. Say hi, Derek.
Yo! Yeah, I was just hiding in the shadows for a second. I was trying to be real sneaky, trying to just jump out and surprise people.
Boo, spooky, boo. Happy Halloween.
Speaking of Halloween, I mean, we got a scary kind of thing to talk about today. But before we get into all of that, we want to first shout out one of our patrons, a new patron to the Mana Squad. And we got the shout out today, Mr. Chris Evans. Not that Chris Evans.
Captain America, first of all, thank you for believing in what we do. And I love your movies. And thank you for joining the Mana Squad. And I want you to know, I still cry when Iron Man died. Well, yeah. So since Chris Evans decided to grace us with his patronage, tell us who his commander is.
Yeah. So Chris's favorite commander is Teriel, Reckoner of Souls.
Never heard of that, but man, that name sounds hard.
So this is actually an interesting commander. This commander is 4 and Mardu. It's an angel with 4 power, 7 booty. Flying Vigilance.
Okay.
It has a tap ability. Tap it. Choose a creature card at random from a target opponent's graveyard. Put that card into the battlefield under your control.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think I know this card. It's in my Collier deck. You know the weird part is, I thought Chris Evans' commander would have been Jeskai, but that's just me.
And do we know it isn't that Chris Evans? Could be just trying to pretend.
We're just gonna pretend that this is Chris Evans, Captain America. It took time to grace our channel. So hats off, Captain.
That's America's butt. But so speaking today, why have we decided to convene today?
So something recently happened in the Magic the Gathering community, in the formats.
I know Zendikar Rising came out. I understand it was a great set. I thought it was amazing.
Hey, so Zendikar did just recently come out, but also something else was announced and spoiled as well.
Okay, what are we talking about here?
The Walking Dead Secret Lair.
Ooh.
Wait, so they printed like silver bordered cards like they did for My Little Pony and like other sets so Walking Dead fans can collect new cards?
You would think that, but no, these are black bordered and they are entering our other formats like Commander, Vintage, I believe, Legacy, all of that stuff. I don't know about exactly names with formats, but yeah, we're going to get these things throughout the entire format that we play, which is Commander. So be on the lookout for Walking Dead cards entering a Commander table near you.
Okay.
And we have some thoughts on this. And so first, maybe let's go over some of the cards that's been spoiled so far.
Okay. One of my favorite cards that I saw was Michonne. Oh my God, the Samurai Sister. First of all, Michonne is 3 and Golgari. She says when she enters the battlefield, she creates 2 walkers. If you're not familiar with the Walking Dead franchise, walkers are zombies. Now, when she attacks, if she attacks with at least 2 zombies, she gains indestructible. Y'all know the struggle is real.
That's right. Also, as long as Michonne is equipped, she must be blocked if able. She has a lure ability on her. So you know what this means. You def touch her up. So we've seen the mechanic before. So this is nothing new too much, but it's interesting to see it all on one creature.
Also, why is this Golgari? None of this, like, I get the zombie part, but none of that is like, literally it makes it seem like it's a fan-made card for that reason, and that, like, the walker tokens are, I won't get to, but walker tokens are misnamed in that they're actually zombies. It's breaking the color pie. I have questions. I have lots of questions.
I think the indestructible leans towards green, which is why they stepped outside the pie.
Also black because she hangs around with zombies, and you know a little bit about the lore as well. So what is it that you said about Michonne?
Michonne's the 2 zombies that she carries are really her best friends. So after the apocalypse kicked off, she didn't want to leave without them. So when they turned into zombies, she dismembered them so that they couldn't attack her, and now they walk around as her protection.
Okay, so she basically hangs around with the dead. I guess that's a Golgari.
No, technically she walks with the dead. Ooh, so yeah, that's a Golgari theme right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely versed in Golgari in command in Magic itself as well, but I see it as like a kind of like recycling kind of thing. Like you don't just you don't just discard the dead and whatnot. You integrate them into your life, into society, and so it's kind of like a cycle of life kind of thing. Like it's kind of weird to explain. I don't exactly understand Golgari, but to me it almost works. For the most part, it works. I don't know what other color if I had to assign her another color, I don't know what to put on her.
I would have made her green, black, blue, honestly. But that's just.
But see, the crazy thing for that though, the crazy thing about that to me is though that none of it matters. That these new cards, I kind of had the same reaction at first. It's like, oh, let me try to get excited, but the things behind it just basically soil the entire experience of these cards existing. On a case-by-case basis. These could have been the worst commanders ever printed. They could have been the best or somewhere in between. But it's all about the process to me. And I feel like it makes it hard. You know, if y'all know how enthusiastic I get about the dumbest stuff in Commander, I couldn't get any excitement for these cards. And it's all about that process for me, kind of how these came to be and why it seems like they exist.
We'll talk about that in a minute after we get through the actual cards that's been spoiled so far.
I'm trying. I just got hot takes. I'm sorry. They're just spewing out of me right now. They're just shooting out
I know
everywhere.
you can't contain it.
I
know you can't contain it.
So what's next on the list?
So next we have Glenn, the voice of calm.
Now, I know you guys are not familiar with the Walking Dead lore, but Glenn was one of our favorite characters out there. R.I.P. Glenn, if you didn't know that, too bad for you. But yeah, Glenn's card actually fits his style. Go ahead and tell him what it is.
So he's 1 and Zorius, and he's a human advisor, 1/3, with Skulk. Skulk means that can't be blocked by creatures with power greater than that creature attacking. But whenever Glenn deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw cards equal to his power.
That is perfect Glenn right there. If you are familiar with the series, that fits him perfectly. Although it should say, if ever equipped with baseball bat, he dies instantly. So,
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I was going to say right off the bat, I think he makes the great head of a deck for Commander.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. So I didn't even watch The Walking Dead because I was never a fan. I saw like 2 episodes. I was like, this is not for me. But as he's printed, he sounds like a cool card. He does what Azorius does. Kind of reminds me of Daxos of Meletis. Gets in there, gets to look at the top card, gain life and stuff like that. But I mean, sure. I don't know about Glenn in the show, so I guess
this should not be a mythic. That doesn't make sense. But you know what? That's none of my business because I didn't print this card. These are the same people who gave us Uro, then banned him. But what's next on the list?
So I want Derek to take care of Negan.
So Negan is a fun Mardu commander now, and basically he's the Treasure Matters commander. The first part of his ability is really interesting, where when it enters, you and an opponent each secretly pick a creature, and then the opponent sacrifices the selected creatures. And whenever an opponent sacrifices a creature, you make treasures. So this is kind of a cool Treasure Matters deck. But it is Negan, and anyone familiar with the comics knows that it is a questionable-ish decision to have this character as a part of a Magic thing, to say the least. So it's the part that hurts me is the Mardu treasure. Just the text on this card is actually kind of awesome. I've always been interested in a treasure deck, and I think it does the Mathis thing better than Mathis. So text-wise, I think it's great. We'll get into the other stuff more afterwards.
And up next, Daryl Dixon, also known Daryl Hunter of Walkers.
He is 2 and red and green. He's Gruul. Interesting.
Now, what else does he do?
So he's a human archer, which, from what I know about the show, fits.
Yes.
So he's a 4/4. That's pretty buff for an archer. That's pretty buff.
That's because it's Daryl Dixon, baby.
So at the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent creates 3 Walker tokens. That's we don't like doing that.
Okay.
But he has a tap ability. Tap, deal 2 damage to target creature. Whenever a zombie an opponent controls dies, you get to draw a card.
Now,
so what do you think about this card?
It has its uses. I like what he does. I think there are ways to exploit it. I just need to be able to tinker with it. Can I create a deck around him? Yes, I can. And stay tuned.
Okay. Does it? So it fits thematically with what?
It fits thematically with based on the show. First of all, Walking Dead, there are two people I will ride if they kill. That's Daryl Dixon and Michonne.
Isn't Daryl getting like a spinoff or something?
I don't care because I'm not watching it no more. But all I know is these two were the staples, and this definitely fixed Daryl's play style because he's down, he's dirty, he's definitely gruel.
And one thing I will say too, I do really think that just text, again, not talking about what the cards are, just text wise, I actually really like where all these commanders fit. They all seem like very interesting build arounds without being either useless or broken. So power level wise and text wise, yeah, I'm a big fan of Daryl. It's something you have to be creative to use, which I always like.
Okay, interesting. Interesting.
It's gonna get amazing.
Okay, so now let's start with the main question on the table.
Okay.
So main question on the table is, does Walking Dead belong in Magic the Gathering? Can go.
So, from a person who knows the lore of the show and everything, I actually think it fits perfectly because the themes, like for example, like Michonne, I would have put her as samurai, but warrior fits perfectly. Negan is definitely a rogue. Daryl, if you're familiar with the show, is definitely an archer. But I'm surprised they didn't put my boy with the staff on here too, because he would have been a great cleric. But they fit the archetypes that Magic the Gathering has set up, just like D&D does with their new party mechanic.
We'll get into that in a minute.
But yeah, I think personally this actually fits in. I think what people are struggling with is that this is another IP that Wizards is bringing within and including with the property.
Okay, so you're saying at least from thematically and what the characters are able to, what they bring on the show, their archetypes actually fit.
They fit perfectly
into Magic. Okay, Daryl, what are you thinking? I mean, I'm sorry.
It's not to me. It's not a matter of if it fits; it's how it fits. I think you can definitely integrate the Walking Dead IP into Magic, and there are so many ways you can do it. And they managed to just pick the single worst way, which is why I think there's so much of a negative reaction. You could easily have done. I actually loved what they did with the Godzilla cards, where they took actual Magic cards and basically did altars. They basically did Wizard-sponsored altars and took that and decided that, you know what, we have these cards that already exist. Now you can play in these different universes with existing Magic cards, which I think is a great way to do it. Or you can go this silver border route, which they've done in the past, not make it tournament legal so collectors and things that love and people that love those shows can go ahead and collect it. You could even go the route, if you had to, of producing a certain like alternate set, almost like this D&D set, and having it in a mainline set. But the concept of creating these unique limited time game pieces that if for any reason they become staples in a format for a number of reasons, is just hugely problematic. All of a sudden, if you didn't get it in this limited short period of time, you don't get those cards. Or all of a sudden, if you're not in the US, because shipping is crazy right now, and you have to pay out the, I don't know if we want to cuss on here, out the butt. You have to pay out the butt to go ahead and get these if you're living in a different country. That becomes hugely problematic. And on top of the fact that from a lower perspective, if you don't have a Magic alternative, all of a sudden, if you got to run 4 of Glenn's in your legacy deck, it just seems a little ridiculous and does, to me, take away from the value of the game itself. Which I know it's a lot, and it's a lot of things and a lot of thoughts, but I think it's a combination of all those things. Why? And I do want to preface it with this, or kind of post, whatever, prefaces before, whatever the after thing is. I do want to say, I think people have been a little too vicious and angry. Ken, you're a great example. If someone loves The Walking Dead, don't shame people for enjoying this product. Like, this is something, if you're a Walking Dead fan, enjoy it. Like, this is what you've been waiting for. I know if it was something that I was more passionate about, I'd probably get super excited too. But at the same time, I do think we need to acknowledge the 50 different aspects of this that make it so, it's just an avalanche of mistakes, it seems like, at every point. And any one of those things changing, I think, would have completely culled the reaction.
Well, and I see it like this. So like it's like they've done this before, especially with Hasbro, and where they got the Sword of Dungeons and Dragons. We got the Transformer card. So this isn't new or apart from the course what they've done. But what I think is what people, if you would open it up to, is that this can lead to other avenues. Like the archetypes exist. Now you can do something like, I don't know, a superhero set of Magic cards where you have Green Arrow as the archer, Batman as the rogue, Captain America as a soldier. I know I'm mixing up IPs, but you see where I'm going.
I do.
Like the archetypes are there And now that you can exploit them and go into other avenues, which I believe will bring other people into Magic.
But my thing is, then it's just not Magic at that point to me. At that point, you could create an alternative card game. But if all of a sudden you have sets going into like each set's a different IP as opposed to a different Magic plane, like people, they might want to play a Marvel card game or a Walking Dead card game, but for the entrenched, it's almost like it's very short-sighted, not very long-sighted. For the people who love Magic over its history, part of it is the lore and the flavor and the high fantasy of Magic. And if every set you start pulling into different genres, to me, it's just not Magic anymore. You're creating a new game, which is where I feel like it could get dangerous.
Yeah, and for me, that's really pretty much where I stand with this, because I got into Magic. I say this all the time to anyone that I talk to about how I got into Magic. So when I read the back of a paper or a pamphlet or whatever it was, and it said that you are a planeswalker, you exist in the multiverse, you traverse the multiverse and all that stuff, and you're battling against other planeswalkers with your army, your decks and whatnot, your creatures and your spells. That really immersed me into the game, because it made me feel like the people who like, say, a property like, say, Harry Potter or whatever reason, like whatever makes you feel like a wizard in that world, whatever makes you feel like the character immersed into that fantasy element, I was really digging that. And so when I started to play Magic and learn about the different planes and what exists on these planes and whatnot, which planes have been destroyed, which ones have been created, where have people been, that really brought me into the game. But then when you start kind of bringing in other IP, I'm okay with it as long as I feel like it naturally fits. I'm cool with. I would be cool if there was a plane where zombies roam the earth, and they just call them walkers, sure, whatever, and they roam the earth, and that's pretty much the only fantasy element on that plane. That's cool. It's not very imaginative, in a sense, for what Magic the Gathering is going for. But if that plane exists, cool. Walking Dead exists as an IP, and I don't know if it necessarily fits. You can fit Walking Dead into Magic the Gathering, but I don't think Magic the Gathering fits into The Walking Dead.
Well, that's because you're looking at the world. You're trying to fuse the two worlds when it's really just I want to put this archetype in another. But I have a question to pose for you guys. So how did you guys feel about the Throne of Eldraine?
The Throne of Eldraine. You want to take this one first, Derek?
Yeah. So I did enjoy the whole. One thing I love that Magic does, I should say, is taking a spin on other IPs and other things and doing their own little version of it. One of my favorite examples is Kogla, and that's literally supposed to be King Kong, so obviously. But they take it and they make it their little Magic thing. And Eldraine was a great example of that, where they took these fairy tales and put a Magic spin on them. And I'm a huge fan of that. I really am. And it's also within Magic sets. And that's the thing, is it's not all one or the other. And I want to emphasize that it's not just the fact that they're taking another IP, but it's how they're spreading it as well. It's a combination of the two. It's almost like a chemical reaction. If you take one chemical that might not be dangerous and another one that's not dangerous, and you mix them and all of a sudden you get an explosion, that's what I feel like is happening here. It's just too many ingredients that shouldn't go together.
And I would say for myself that I like Throne of Eldraine as far as what they were trying to do, because it wasn't one particular IP when it comes to what the fantasy element of Throne of Eldraine. It was fairy tales in general.
I think they all stuck to the Grimm logic.
It was Grimm fairy tales.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it didn't. The cards didn't say Grimm. This is Grimm.
One of them said Wicked Wolf.
Sure. Okay. There was also a Goldilocks, whose name I can't remember what card it was. Something, a fighter of three bears, maybe. I don't know. But also
more like Robert Three Bears. That was not your house.
But it was also mixed in a little bit of Camelot in there as well, and it blended perfectly. And there was nothing that said that these are the Knights of the Round Table. This is King Arthur. It was a story that they created. They blended these elements, and it felt like it naturally just worked.
You got the Arthurian lore without actually hitting it over the head.
Exactly. Yeah. There was even a lady in the lake.
Yes, there was.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, oh my God, that is so obviously Lady in a Lake. Like it
I was gonna say it's the exact same way with Theros, where there's so many times they alluded to the Greek gods and different things like that. But again, they put their own unique spin on it and added some creative differences to make it its own, to make it feel like it fit in the world of Magic.
Right.
I feel like you guys want them just to lie to you because, like, we know what these cards are. It's just, I mean, they're just going to instead of Rick Grimes, they're going to call him, Trick Times, and and he works as a firefighter, and but I see what you guys are talking about.
So, quick question with that: can you see Rick Grimes dapping it up with Teferi?
I don't know what's going on his plane.
I'm just throwing a weird question out there, but I do see what you mean as well. Like, yes, I do not want to see exactly something from another IP exactly within the Magic the Gathering set, unless it actually organically blends in jails. So, like, if you told me that there was a plane where there were these turtles who were the protectors of their plane, of their planet.
They were raised by a squirrel and taught jujitsu.
Yeah,
but he's like,
but I mean, obviously, Ninja Turtles. Hey, if they find a way to make it fit without it just feeling forceful, or I don't know. Like, I don't exactly want to see that.
And instead of great painters, they were named after great philosophers. So instead of Michelangelo, you got Socrates, you got Plato.
So Ken, I have a question for you then, because obviously, Ken, it feels like you're more positive on it than most, which I think is a good thing, so we can get differing opinions. So my thing is, let's go off of the premise that mixing IPs can work. Let's just, obviously we tend to disagree a little bit on that, but let's go off of the premise that you can make different IPs work. The next thing that really interests me is how can you effectively do that without creating really feels bad economics for the players? And that's kind of where my biggest problem is. I am a huge flavor person. I think it's a huge flavor fail, but I realize that's my personal opinion and I don't want to let that get in the way of other people's joy. My big problem is with its distribution and the way it's being done specifically. And so I'm kind of curious, Ken, on your thoughts about how they're making it this limited time, only directly from Wizards, get it now or never get it type deal.
Like I said, we've seen this before, and it's not like they're going on a reserve list like they can never be printed again. Like,
yeah, they did say, Mark Rosewater did say that if these are popular or perform well, I don't know what his criteria is, but he said it is possible that these cards could be reprinted at some point.
I mean, it's also possible they reprint Fetch Lands, but we all know how that goes. So.
Yeah, exactly. they ain't gonna kill themselves like that. Although they did put him out as box topper. By the way, mine was bent. But but the reason why I don't want these as silver borders because there's always the stigma, especially in the play group, a lot. Well, not all. Some, but playing with silver border cards, it doesn't really seem fair. And I know a lot of people out there who play like unstable commanders with silver border, and then it's like, yeah, we're bringing you in, but you're just this fringe thing that we don't actually want you to play with, and I that's what it kind of feels like. But I'm okay with bringing in this limited product because it's like, okay, we're going to produce these handful of cards. We're not going to do a whole set because just in case this this ain't a whole set that fails.
Yeah. They did actually make me think about something real quick. So why do they do the unsets? If they are doing these limited runs of silver border cards and these are, like they did last year, like these are going to be legal for 3 months. And then after that, do what you want to do with your play group.
I seriously believe my opinion is they do the unsets for the lands because all the unlands are immaculate.
All right, Ken, so I'm really excited. Your opinion is so much different from everything I've been seeing and hearing. And it's really been, it's fun to kind of pick your brain on this. So let's operate again on another assumption. We're operating on the assumption that mixing IPs is fine. Let's go ahead and operate on the assumption that it being black bordered is okay. So we're going to make it so that way, we want people to use this as commanders. So kind of that next step, do you think there's a better way? Because my first thought was literally all they could have changed was one, either make them the Godzilla cards to where they're existing cards and they're basically alters, and then no one's going to have a problem with that. But if you really must make them these brand new cards that aren't reskins, that are brand new mechanics and everything, why does it have to be a limited time? Why can't this just be a product that Wizards just sells indefinitely for a while? And then in the next 6 months, if you want to buy it, you can just go ahead and buy it. That way people have access to it.
So like an actual Walking Dead set is what you're saying?
Not necessarily a set, but almost like what's the Commander collection that they're doing, or the spell books that they do, where there's sets of individual cards, but you have indefinitely to buy them. So that way 3 months from now, if you're like, oh wow, now I have the funds to buy this, you don't have to pay 17 times the price on eBay. That's the part that really bothers me, is I think that one simple thing would be nice, just to allow people the flexibility. It's tough times out there economically, and it'd be like you have this many days or you never get it. Seems kind of unfair.
Yeah, like I said, every dollar helps in the beginning. I don't know what kind of contract that they had with the people of the Walking Dead, that they do this print run or whatever. But maybe this is all that they can do for the moment. I mean, I've seen limited print runs of Christmas editions too that you can no longer get in some spots. So again, I don't know how this decision was made off the top, but it's come get it when you can. And again, there's no guarantee that there will be no more reprints for this. Again, it doesn't hit the reserve list. They haven't said that this will be the only run of it, but it may be limited. But there's always a chance that they can reprint it in the future.
So, but at the end of the day, I kind of want to get to the crux of another question, which is, what do you think about Wizards' marketing strategy with some of these sets and their not just the sets, but also the products? So, we have The Walking Dead kind of being integrated. Seemingly, I'm going to say seemingly because we don't know how coronavirus messed up marketing plans for this year and everything. Seemingly, this came out of nowhere. Where is Walking Dead in the zeitgeist right now?
Well, which is what I was going to ask. Wizards does marketing. Oh, when they start doing that, because you want me to tell you how I find out a set is coming out? I go to my local game store. I be like, "Hey, yo, Jay, what's the next set coming out?" And he looked through the list. He's like, "This, put my name on the list for the pre-release. I'll catch you in a couple of weeks."
I do want to say in defense kind of Wizards, which I know isn't always the most popular thing. I do think a phrase that I hear all the time in sports, and not to always bring it back to sports, but that's literally the only other thing I do, so sorry. But a phrase that you hear all the time in sports is, it's a business. You always see teams get really attached to a player and then they leave for another team or any type of thing like that, and everybody always says it's a business. And I think that's one thing that we have to remember about Magic is it is a business. And I have all the faith in the world in people like Morrow and Gavin Verhey and all the people that are in the development and on the card making side, that they love Magic and they truly want what's best for Magic. But you have to remember, the people that run everything, the people at the top, it's just a business to them. So when it comes to marketing and things like that, sometimes I feel like these guys get put in really tough situations to where they might have to market stuff that they aren't actually, that's not how they would do it personally, but it's just how it is. And I think a lot of times I do think the front-facing people in Wizards get put in really tough situations. And I think they do a better job than we give them credit for, because I think, especially with something like this, I don't think they had any say in when it happened, anything like that. But they still have to go along with it and make the best of it. So I think it's tough sometimes to market, especially when I'm sure they were aware that the Magic community would be up in arms with something like this, and they still had to kind of just put a happy face on it and make it seem as good as they could.
I want everybody to close their eyes and think about the management at their job. And do they really make the best decisions at your job? I just want to sprinkle that on the biscuit just a little bit.
So I would also say to this as well. I feel like we're getting to, I'm going to mention another IP, another property. Before I got into Magic, I played a card game called Munchkin. Munchkin was basically a card game that is a parody of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, it started that way. And then it got popular. And it was like, what else can we be a parody of? And they started doing parodies of the monster movies, of vampires and werewolves. They started doing parodies of cowboys and Western movies. They started doing parodies of comic book superhero properties and everything. Rick and Morty. Well, I would say when we started getting into the Rick and Morty territory, they were just like, we're not doing parodies anymore. We're just integrating Rick and Morty into Munchkin. And I feel like that's the territory that we're getting into with Magic, with this type of product, specifically with The Walking Dead. It's like, hey, it's not a parody. It's not Throne of Arrow Drain. It's not Greek gods or this is strictly, we're integrating this IP into this thing right now, because there's a Ninja Turtles Munchkin, there's different types of Munchkins now because it's been popularized. So they started off with the superhero comic book parody as well, but then now there's an actual Marvel Munchkin. And it's gotten to that point where with the popularity of the product, it's just like, hey, we can just partner up and blend these actual things without even trying to be an actual parody now. And we played those card games. They work for Munchkin, for what it is, for what it does. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them are kind of, sure, middle of the road. But I'm thinking that when it comes to specifically with this IP of Walking Dead, of what it's doing, yeah, it does work. It does work. It doesn't feel exactly forced. The characters do not feel forced. The world setting maybe is going to feel forced to players who are not as familiar with Walking Dead.
At the end of the day, Wizards is a business. And what they're trying to do is bring more people into the fold. I know a lot of their decisions, a lot of people don't like, but mind you, they have to try to grow their player base any way that they can. So, of course, we're used to these sets that they come out with and, these different planes that they go to. But at the end of the day, they have to figure out another way to attract people into the fold so that you see them going out to these other IPs. You see them going out and trying to recruit the Dungeons and Dragons community because they're trying to bring more people into the game, thus making more money. I mean, this game doesn't run off hopes and dreams. And another thing I want to point out, too, is this is why I have an issue with their marketing department is they don't know how to read the room. And by I say that, the economic times that we're living in. So we're talking about sets and stuff that come out, but they tried to overload us with so much product this year that they didn't think about wallet fatigue. They didn't think about,
People losing their jobs.
and at that point, I was like, I don't know who's doing their marketing, but they might want to keep a pulse. Now, although a lot of sets have come out and they've done gangbusters, but at the same time, you don't always have to overhaul us with product too.
Some of that was bad luck, I think, too. Like, just to think, like, that VIP double mastered $10,000 booster packs, that was planned years in advance. The fact that it happened during the times we're in right now, I think was just really bad luck. Had that happened during not now, I don't think people would have been upset because people are losing jobs and stuff. So seeing something like that's more frustrating. I think that's just really bad luck, and I think they kind of just couldn't have really done much to prevent that.
They could have just delayed it. Mind you, Double Masters is just a reprint. They could have said, you know what, we already have the packaging for it. Everything's ready to go. How about we delay this a year, and give and let people clear their space,
recover.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as you also mentioned, at the end of the day, it's still a business. They have to keep their doors open. They have to push out product for those who are fortunate enough to able to still participate in gathering their products as well. And so I guess at the end of the day, it's if their doors are open, then might as well push out the products. The thing that we mostly had the issue with this year was that there was just so many products. Even if there wasn't a pandemic going on at this moment and people's wallets aren't as tight and products are not getting out exactly where they should be because of shipping and everything, people I think will still be like, whoa, this is way too much, or this is just a lot coming from Wizards right now this year. And I think that at the end of the day, people still, their minds just would have been so stretched just from all the products that we received this year.
And just going back to the whole Walker promos that they're doing with the Walkers, people, if you don't, a lot of people who don't like them and hate them, you are not forced to buy them. Like I said, it's limited edition. For those who do want to buy them and don't have the funds, like I said, this isn't there is not part of a reserve list, and I'm pretty sure when the demand meets, they will reprint these.
So one thing I do want to point out along those lines though, and where I understand where people are really upset, is a very similar thing happened when they made Firesong and Sunspeaker an exclusive buy a box promo. And I remember at first people were like, this card isn't that good, but if they print something with limited availability with this, and that was still much more available than this is, that's going to be a scary situation. And what do you know? Next buy a box exclusive promo was Nexus of Fate, and it broke everything. And I think that's why people are afraid, because let one of these cards, and I don't think all the spoilers are done yet, let one of these cards be format defining in Legacy, or let it be a Commander staple type card. And this is going to be an insanely expensive card with basically false scarcity when Wizards could make it more heavily available or change the way it is. It's very, very difficult, and they're putting themselves in a situation basically to set a precedent for something really bad. I'm hoping that this one is just going to be fine and people are just going to move on from it. But I could definitely see it setting a precedent for something that just completely either breaks a format or just makes players just no longer interested. Because, not to mention, they've talked about in the past, the concept of printing unique promo cards is something they would never do. After they did Mana Crypt and an old Dragon promo for Dragon Con back in the day, they had repeatedly said they would never do that again. And then for them just to go ahead and do it, it feels bad. And it seems like, why? Like, why? It doesn't make sense.
So this is what I have to say to that. Again, at the end of the day, it's a business. and buying and the selling of boxes has more value than the selling of individual cards. As a matter of fact, that's why I got into buying the boxes, is because it was like I have access to a rare card or a mythic card by putting extra and investing into this, and now I get access to this box topper, and I'm not sure how it's regulated or not, but because I'm putting in that extra to get it, now I have access to it. And my thing is, well, this shouldn't be an unusual concept, because we've seen this with the double masters and the master reprints, where you pay $100 for a box, and you may get to pull this full borderless, because that's the new thing now, this borderless card that you can't get in the regular pack. I'm Joe Schmo, everybody, and I get a random pack. It used to be the lottery system, and that's what everybody wanted. I'd have the chance to open up one of these great cards, but they've thrown that away now. And now, okay, you got to spend $100 on the box, or you got to spend $400 on double masters in order to get you a chance to get in a borderless card of one of your favorite planeswalker. Or you want a stained glass card of your favorite planeswalker, you got to buy this ultra ridiculous price set. So if people aren't going to rage against them doing that, I don't see why they're raging against this.
There probably could have been some pushback and rage against that as well. I don't know exactly how Wizards is currently doing all of their I'm just gonna call them chase cards. Cards that you really want to go for, that you may have a certain percentage of chance of getting. Because I know that they say that they're going to switch up the way that they're doing booster packs and collector packs and master packs and double masters and ultimate masters, triple taiju masters, and box toppers, buy a box promos, double box topper,
the arm, leg, liver, and spleen package that you got to sell.
Yeah, when we did the last box opening, I didn't even know there were two special cards that you would just get in the box. Like that was new to me. Like,
and the fact that you had to buy a box in order for a chance to open up one of the expedition lands, when those were lottery in the old Zendikar packs, people should be raging against that.
Yeah, possibly so. I mean, there's a lot of questionable decisions that we have to think about, because even the MSRP thing that they started this year, where they're not setting MSRPs, they're just leaving it up to the stores to handle. That's questionable as well. Just set a price for what you think a card should be. But when you're leaving it up to Amazon and Walmart and Target to price these packs and these boxes and these cards, well, not individual cards, but these boxes and these products, then it's like first come first serve before it's over $100. And yeah, so I just wanted us to kind of just take a step back and just look at what is happening to the game itself, and what are some of these decisions, how they're affecting us, and monetarily, I don't want to say emotionally, but like our investment within the game, both monetarily and also playing the game as well. But just like how do we feel like they're handling things over this year?
Well, and like I said, they are a business, and everything that they're doing is trial and error. If they go to what if they go to a new plane and you don't like it, like they did with Our Devastation? Mm-hmm. What if they go somewhere and it's gangbusters, like they did with Ikoria? Like, everything is a guessing game at this point. So they're just trying to do what's best for them, and I can't halt them on it. My only question is, do you still enjoy playing the game at this point? And if that question is yes, then let them try to bring in whatever extra money that they can.
True. Derek, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do think, I know for me personally, I'm still enjoying the game. I've just seen from a lot of people, it seems like over the last few days, that joy is diminishing, when it just feels like people are being like, sometimes it does feel like the consumer is being treated as if they're dumb, which it can be a little insulting at times. And I'm not typically somebody who gets really upset over like Wizards decisions. I'm kind of just somebody, I don't get really upset over much in general. Like, I'm just a very easygoing person. And this whole Walking Dead thing did kind of actually upset me, just because it just felt like there are so many ways they could have made this happen with more respect to the consumer. And I feel like they took the most disrespectful route. And again, for all the reasons we've been talking about now. So I do think, I get it, 100%. It's a business. They got to make money. I 100% understand that. but at the same time, there's ways you can do it while making profits without, again, what I feel like is a little bit disrespecting the consumer.
Yeah, definitely understand that.
What y'all saying is y'all think they sold their butt.
Like you said, we don't know the agreement between Hasbro and The Walking Dead, and I was just a little questionable about the timing because like, what is The Walking Dead doing right now that we needed a promotion through Magic the Gathering? Like,
This is their final season. I believe they're wrapping up.
possibly, I guess I don't know.
Yeah. This is the final season.
Okay, cool. I mean, but Travis Scott is working with McDonald's now, so I don't know what's going on in this world.
LeBron James got a Sprite. Everybody crossing over.
So we will. I'll just say let's end it here because I think we had a very good points of views, very level-headed, very good ideas kind of flowing, and so I've learned some things that I didn't know as far as when it comes to Wizards and also maybe even The Walking Dead and its property. And just hearing you guys' thoughts about how marketing and how products is flowing from Wizards of the Coast. So hopefully things will smooth over the next couple of months. I don't even think that because of the times we're in right now with the pandemic and everything, I don't even think that this Walking Dead set is going to hit as bad or as negatively as the player base thinks that it's going to hit. We'll just have to see when the world kind of opens up. Because there's really a lot that we don't know right now. I don't know how these Ikoria cards are working. I barely even know how the Throne of Eldraine cards are working because that came out right before the pandemic. And so like I'm still catching up with sets that have recently been released, and I'm sure you guys are as well with our limited gameplay and access to some of these cards. So we're just going to leave this question to you, the viewers as well. Like, not necessarily your thoughts about all of this, but just your thoughts on where do you see Wizards going in the future as far as their product releases and their maybe even they're listening to the consumer base. And do you feel like that they are still keeping their ear to the ground when it comes to what the consumers are looking for from Magic the Gathering? But please give us a like. If you like our content, please like and subscribe. Of course, check out our affiliate link in the bottom below, TCG Player. When you use our affiliate link, you definitely help out the show, help out the channel when you purchase cards using that link.
And you're also helping out yourself too, man. Go get you some of these cards.
That's right. And helping out those local game stores as well.
Yeah. When they reprint these cards, some of these prices go in the toilet. You know how I know? Because I had a Shakashima, and it got reprinted. And they went to the toilet. I had a trichodecaphobia. I mean, no, the sand triplets.
I had sand triplets.
And that card price went into the toilet.
Ooh, I just yesterday saw the card price on sand triplets. But hey, go ahead and pick your one up on TCG Player.
Yeah, go ahead and pay less than I pay right now. I feel good about yourself.
Yeah, but go ahead, like we said, like and subscribe, tell people about us. And we are going to be signing off because it has been a long day.
Peace.
Peace.